Hello everyone, welcome to this kind of clickbaity video, to be honest. It is a rumor that I'm going to be talking about, and one that is based off a drunken Twitter exchange, so quite a rumor. But I figured people would be asking me about it, so I wanted to make a video just to be able to say, like, go watch that video, so I don't have to talk about this a billion times. So here it is. If you guys have not gone to StarCraft Reddit today, there was a post 12 hours ago that said StarCraft 3 is in development. Ah, fantastic, fantastic. And this is based off of this report from Gadgets, which is also based off of a tweet chain of Jez Corden, drunk AMA, StarCraft 3. Yep, you know anything? Yep. That is it. That is actually it. A drunk AMA. As this comments correctly states, the fuck has journalism come to? But whatever. Yeah, so this is why we're talking about it once again. We kind of were starting to talk about the potential for StarCraft once more because Microsoft has expressed interest in it far more than Blizzard has in the last 4 years. But other than that, we didn't really have much to go on. There were also some very vague tweets made by Mike Ybarra, who is president of Blizzard Entertainment right now, in which he winky-faced the Shang-Chi star, Simu Liu, I believe is how you pronounce it. Sorry if it's not correct. And then he also made a tweet with the Artanis logo and no follow-up. So he was, this was a year and a half ago, early 2022. Nothing happened from it. And in fact, the opposite of nothing happened. They actually decided to pull funding for the StarCraft esports for this year at the very last second, I might add. It was supposed to be going on and then it didn't. So, yeah, that's where things are at right now. You know, there's been the Microsoft head person talking about it. Sorry, wrong thing. They're interested in StarCraft, and I believe them based on their history with Age of Empires and legacy games, and the Game Pass being such a good opportunity for such legacy games, so on and so forth. Mike Ybarra has said some things, but then did nothing with them, and apparently agrees with the potential boss. Most likely Microsoft will actually go through and acquire Activision Blizzard. And then we have this drunk AMA. So there's the gist, why people are kind of excited or, you know, a little hopeful, and, you know, more power to you for being optimistic. I have to be a little more reserved because not only am I a fan, but I also, like, this is literally my job. So yeah, I have to be very careful with getting my hopes up. So let's go into the reasons that I believe this is not likely. So I'm going to give 4 reasons, and then I'm also going to give some caveats as to why maybe they aren't great negative reasons. This is a terrible sentence. I'm going to give 4 reasons why I think it's not likely, and then 4 caveats of the above points to try and at least say, you know, maybe there is some potential. So here we go. Reason number 1, they have no RTS developers. Blizzard either let go many of the people that were involved in RTS, or people who were involved in RTS left because Blizzard straight up told them in 2019, I believe, we are not interested in making another RTS. They actually were told that because they were asking. They're like, hey, are we going to do anything more? No, they were not. They then made the companies of Frost Giant and Dreamhaven and something else I'm sure I'm forgetting. They basically branched out and did a bunch of other stuff. And they're currently working on that stuff, by the way. So it's not as easy as being like, oh, great, we're back. Let's go back to Blizzard. You know, not going to happen. Second reason is that there are no job postings for anything related to StarCraft and RTS, I guess, in particular, because perhaps they're hiding they're doing StarCraft. Usually, you know, for Overwatch, there was a moment where people were looking at the job postings and saying, wow, a company who's never done FPS are looking for people who are into FPS. I wonder what that could mean. It was about Titan, which ended up being Overwatch after a lot of development hell. So no job postings makes me, you know, not believe, because they also have no internal RTS people anymore. The Microsoft merger, point number 3, is not in effect yet. And not only is it not even officially in effect yet, it also, you know, would take a very long time for it to actually do things. You know, as far as reorganizing company structure, I believe that takes quite some time. And so why would that have already begun when they are not officially acquiring Activision Blizzard? Now, I truly believe that there could be a lot of prodding by the potential parent company, right? The potential boss. I think that's absolutely true because Microsoft almost, I believed from the get-go that it was inevitable that Microsoft would push this through just with how much weight they have to throw around. So I do believe it's possible they prodded, but yeah, it's not even in effect yet, so why would this have already been going along because of Microsoft. And then fourth, the reason I believe it's not going to happen is that BlizzCon this year actually did, it didn't even pass the lowest bar possible. It did not include us at all in anything, trailer or announcement-wise. And this is a very low bar as far as Blizzard in general. We are your game, we are your child, and yet we have been completely forgotten about. Excellent. But then to add on top of that, you're about to bring us back into the fold. You also don't talk about us whatsoever. Seems a little weird, because it really would not be, you know, it would not even be hinting at a potential if they included Jim Raynor's face in a trailer for BlizzCon. You know, if they just had, you know, the cinematic of Diablo, cinematic of Overwatch, and a cinematic of StarCraft 2, people would just be like, oh, yeah, okay. It's not even a hint. So why would they not do at least the, like, bare minimum for BlizzCon? Seems really weird to me. So those are the 4 reasons that I personally believe that a StarCraft 3 RTS, I guess, maybe more specifically, is not actually in development. I suppose we have to define what in development means, but to me, I am looking for a more concrete development plan. People are actually hired to work on this. People are actually working on this. There is a clear goal of a deadline even, right? Although those deadline was would definitely be moved, as video games do. Not development as in, well, we talked about it and we're interested in it. That's not development to me. Or we got this one concept artist to come over from a different game and sketch out another Sarah Kerrigan. That's not enough for me. So yeah, I believe that it's so unlikely that this thing is actually in development. But here are some of the caveats to the above points that I made. It's the best way I figured I could organize this without getting too confusing. But the first point I made was that there are no RTS developers. Well, they could be pulling people in the company to start working on these things, right? People that don't necessarily have to be very experienced with StarCraft as a, you know, the RTS. The concept artists don't necessarily have to be the 20-year veterans with StarCraft to be able to draw some ideas. And in fact, might even be better as far as bringing in some freshness to the IP. Or, you know, if they start talking about the actual technical aspect of things, I'm sure that doesn't need to be RTS specific until a certain point in time. Well, I'm sure. I'm not sure. I don't do game development, but like I figure, right? So there's that. They could be pulling people in the company already, and so they actually are in development. Second reason was there's no job postings for RTS. They could have done a better job hiding these job postings, although I don't know exactly how that would work. But because the job postings were a previous correct start of a rumor, they might have done a better job hiding it this time around. It's possible. Third reason, Microsoft merger not in effect. Again, Microsoft could absolutely be nudging them along, basically coming in and saying, here's a bunch of plans for another StarCraft game. What's going on? And Blizzard saying, well, we just don't see there's enough profit. And Microsoft saying, no, there will be. Like, go get back into it. Go do it again. And even though they're not officially the boss, it's almost assuredly that they will be. So you do what they say. And the fourth reason was that there's no BlizzCon announcements, but the caveat here is that Overwatch actually was very much a bombshell, potentially, you know, similar fashion if they actually do drop the announcement of StarCraft 3 at BlizzCon, which would be so fucking amazing. I don't even know what I would do. But yeah, no, there is a precedence, I suppose, of bombshell announcements where the rumors, because of the job postings and the Titan, what happened with that thing was going on. Really, they did an excellent job of just having, no one had any idea that there was going to be a brand new IP under Blizzard. At BlizzCon 2016, I believe, or maybe 2015, actually. 2015, I think. Legacy of the Void was playable for the first time, so I was far more interested in that. So I don't really remember this time period, but as far as my recollection goes, this was a complete surprise. Everyone who was at BlizzCon saw the trailer start on all of the screens around the venue, and everyone stopped and stared, and everyone's jaw dropped, basically. Seeing that this was a new IP, because at first it just looked like a trailer, like a Pixar movie, and you're just like, and then it became evident that they were actually like, this is a new thing. This is not StarCraft, Warcraft, or Diablo, and it's an FPS, which was, you know, a complete departure from what Blizzard used to be known for. And it really came out of nowhere. No one was expecting it. They did an excellent job hiding it, the development of it, the title of it, the concept of it, the merchandise of it, which I believe they actually had prepared at that BlizzCon once they announced Overwatch. I think you could then go buy stuff for it. I mean, it was actually really cool thinking back to it. One of the last cool things I suppose Blizzard ever did. So they could be doing it again. I just think that this would be a very weird bombshell announcement because, you know, that was a new IP in a different genre than Blizzard had ever done. So it was really the talk of the town. Doing it for an established IP that has been just longing for the next development, which seemed inevitable. It is a strong IP after all. And then just, you know, making it in a similar announcement fashion. It's not impossible. It just doesn't seem like it'd be the best thing to do, but again, I am not a marketing expert, so I have no idea. So yeah, 4 reasons why I think it's not likely, 4 reasons, 4 kind of caveats to those points where you could hold on to the little rope of optimism if you want, but that's kind of the general gist of what I think the StarCraft RTS and development thing is or is not. I do not believe if it is happening in any concrete development phase or whatever you want to say. Like, it's talking would be my guess. My personal belief is that we are talking perhaps more about a StarCraft game, not an RTS and not StarCraft 3. And I could see that very easily being miscommunicated in the game of telephone. It's probably happening with this guy. And the reason that I believe this is because, one, StarCraft FPS just sounds like such a cool freaking idea. It's a universe that is very compatible with an FPS, but also because there was an FPS canceled in 2019. So whenever I bring up a StarCraft FPS, people always talk about Ghosts. I do not care about Ghosts. I saw Ghosts and I know what stage it was at. It was at GameCube stage. Okay, like, we are past caring about Ghosts. Please let it go. But what I do care about is this potential FPS that was canceled in 2019 after 2 years of development. Apparently, the cancellation of it was a surprise to the people working on it, who were either then, I believe, fired or let go, or they were moved to other projects. And the reason that this was canceled was that they wanted to focus more on Diablo 4 and Overwatch. This was back in 2019, where Overwatch still had some hope, and prior to COVID, by the way. But that's a whole focusing on Overwatch League thing might be a bit different nowadays. And Diablo 4 obviously finished, and to critical acclaim, by the way. So that was, you know, maybe a good thing in the grand scheme of, you know, Blizzard profits. But the StarCraft FPS sounds like something that would be very, maybe not easily gone back to, but I feel like because it is far more modern than Ghost, it would be something you could go back to. They could unlock that box of secrets once again and get the development going, and they would also have people in their company, I think, who would also be more well-suited for such a thing. So again, they didn't let go all of their FPS people and have competitors with FPS. No, they just would have them. So I would actually, I suppose if I bet money, and I was really pessimistic, I would just bet money on it being a StarCraft FPS. Well, if I was really pessimistic, I would say this is all lies and don't believe anything they say. I'm not that pessimistic, but I would actually guess that it's more the FPS, because it's also I think it's more in line with what Blizzard was looking to do prior to the Microsoft acquisition. Microsoft might be coming in and saying, yes, RTS, go for it. But Blizzard clearly said no. But they do like FPS, and they are looking to make one of the next best top-selling genre games, right? So they already have one FPS in the making, I believe. They had some release of concept art, and they could be adding on another one. Perhaps one's more like a PUBG, another one's more like a Call of Duty, I guess, which they already have, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I think that's a little more likely, because then it would also make more sense as to why Blizzard was already developing it. And yeah, they would prefer FPS. If Microsoft comes in and is like, no, RTS now, I just do not believe that would be a long, you know, any way along in the progression and the developments of the game. So of course, TLDR is that I really don't know anything. I have no insider information. I'm going off of the same little bits and rumors and whatnot that everyone else is. But I think I have pretty strong reasons not to be a big believer in anything happening anytime soon. I am holding out hope that there is an RTS in development, but then of course we know that the actual game development time is going to take years. So casual fans can be as excited as you want, of course, but I would have to still be a little bummed that it took them this long to realize that Blizzard RTS would still be very good. And the one last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, because I know someone's going to bring this up. Campaign plot of StarCraft 3 has no bearing whatsoever on the development of it. I hate this thing that people come to me with, where they're like, well, the story's already done. There's no more story to be told. Yeah, right. And in 2023, if you looked around at any, you know, Marvel production or big game production or whatever, books even, and been like, yeah, they knew when to stop. There's many more cases of people not stopping when they should have, you know? And so the last thing that you have to worry about is whether or not they can find a interesting plot, you know? Because I think they can find interesting stuff. And this Reddit thread is already giving a bunch of ideas for it. But they, like, World of Warcraft has been retconning and time traveling and going large, going small, like, you know, for the last decade and a half or whatever. So, like... They'll find a plot, guys. They'll find some plot somewhere. So I just wanted to end on that because that's kind of bothered me every time someone brings this up. So yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Give me your thoughts down below. TLDR again, I just do not believe that it is very far in development. I would expect perhaps talks, but nothing really concrete for the RTS. And if anything, it might be more on a StarCraft game in a different genre that they might be already working on. So that's my suspicion. What's your suspicion? Let me know down below, and I will see you guys later for more StarCraft rumors and StarCraft gameplay. Bye, guys.